Muda, muda, muda. In Japanese, muda is a word for waste. Entrepreneurs, organization and professional waste around 4 hours of work time in unnecessary activities. Factories of Future believes that people should do more in less time. We analyze and identify gaps in processes and manufacturing environment. Further, quickly implement tools and systems which are easy to adapt, which results in substantial increase in productivity. We believe future factories should be sustainable, adaptive and smart. These are the three cornerstones for survival in future. Are you progressive organizations who want to achieve greater operational excellence? Call on us. Be future ready.
Let me introduce you to Dr. Paritosh Basu. He is a mentor and guide to me, and I know him from many years, and I always take guidance from him towards moving forward in my entrepreneurial journey. Dr. Basu is a digital evangelist, and he is presently engaged with some startups and helping startup as senior advisor and helping them to develop solutions for digital transformation of business. He chaired for World Blockchain and AI Summits held in Moscow, Dubai, and India. He delivered inaugural keynote speeches there and led panel discussion. Presently, he is a full-time senior professor and chairperson of MBA Law of NMI-MS University School of Business Management and engaged in several research and consulting activities. His current area of research includes professional skepticism, Industry 4, digital transformation, blockchain, and artificial intelligence. And he has also authored various papers and presented keynote addresses on various conferences on blockchain. And many of his research papers published on various channels. I also read about his current article in Institute of Cost Accounting of India in the January, also on blockchain platforms. So he's an avid trainer and researcher. So I welcome Dr. Basu to take on the session.
Good evening, participants. Thank you very much indeed. I welcome you to my session on human dimensions and ethical dimensions of artificial intelligence. Wherever I have gone and spoken on artificial intelligence or blockchain, for that matter, 8 deep technologies, I've always brought in these dimensions, human and ethical dimensions of digital transformation, because many of you participants may be engaged in solution designing. Many of you could be from startup. I personally feel that if any solution which you are designing or any entrepreneur cooperates, it has to ultimately benefit the human. It has to have a human dimension. It has to have ethical dimensions. Therefore, without getting into the technical dimensions of artificial intelligence and the various other deep technologies, I am going to stress upon these few dimensions of technology in Industry 4.0 era. Next slide, please.
Yeah.
I will be using a lot of graphics and a lot of research inputs from various authors, presentations, etc. So I'm grateful to them. I have no commercial purpose behind it. So that's my acknowledgement. Next slide, please. This is a very simple ascension analysis, how the world is going to look like by 2030. And as you see, the COVID-19 crisis for which we are all locked down at home, these are the 9 crises which are almost coming like octopuses to us and going to challenge humanity and human civilization. We're going to be 8.5 billion people in the earth very soon. Or 2/3 of the population of the world will be living in urban areas. Villages will be an issue. The peripheral forests will all go away. That's why the pangolins have brought coronavirus to us. Transparency will be one of the most important factors in whatever we do in life. And like China is being challenged today by all the world, that what did you do to spread the coronavirus? I do not know what is the truth behind it, but everybody will be checking what are you doing. Climate crisis, Australian crisis, you have seen the you have seen the crisis of France. So there will be huge climate crisis. There will be huge resource pressure. The most important resource pressure would be on audible, breathable air and drinkable water. Clean technology will be most important factor to come out with. There will be a huge technology shift. About 5 times will be the devices number will be connected by 2030. Global policy will be more towards a situation that you will be controlled and you will be under certain regulations, and radicalism and nationalism will control. So big question comes up for all of us with the technologists, whether this 9 crisis can be handled while we do business under this sun. Next slide, please. So when you go for digital transformation, you follow most importantly 5 basic questions to decide whether your business needs digital transformation. I don't want to get into that. I just wanted to get into the 5th point, that is PDP loop. I do not know whether any of you are familiarized with the word PDP loop. It does mean physical, digital, physical loop. Problems which you study, data which you study, or the customer relationship or stakeholders relationship which you study are from the physical marketplace and physical environment. You bring those data into your computerized environment within the organization, digitally analyze them, define your tactics, define your strategy, take those strategies and tactics to physical marketplace and implement them. So essentially, in a digital transformation, you have to continuously transform, monitor, reinvent yourself, and again transform. This loop is also the loop of learning, relearning, and unlearning, and again relearning. So learn, relearn, unlearn, learn, unlearn, relearn. That will be the cycle we have to follow in digital transformation. Follow the 5 pillars. Next slide, please. I just wanted to open this slide because of one simple reason, to tell these participants that digital technologies which you see, which we call 8 deep technologies, they are divided into 2 segments. One is transformational segment and another is business impact segment. There are many business impact segment technologies names you can see in the slide. You can see in the screen. Transformational signals segment is the artificial intelligence segment, 3D printing, drone, autonomous car, human brain machine interface, etc., etc. I'm a great proponent of blockchain technology. I've spoken many places in India and abroad. Blockchain technology is going to cross those boundaries of transformational and going into foundational technology. By foundational technology, I mean that it is going to change the societal and economic foundation of any country. Given a chance, I'll speak to you some other day on blockchain technology. Today's session is essentially on AI and RPA. So point here in this slide is that any technology which you are working on, please identify whether it falls into business impact technology or transformational technology. Transformational technologies needs a lot of innovation, a lot of innovations, and blockchain technology, a lot of change requires a lot of foundational change. Next slide, please. So these are the, out of those technologies which you just saw, these are the 8 deep technologies which has emerged in the era of digital transformation and industry 4.0. And the last one you can see here is the artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence has also added to its table AIoT, that is artificial intelligence, Internet of Things. Today, we are going to talk about the artificial intelligence area, including robotics, because robots are also becoming artificially intelligent robots. Of course, machine learning will come into our play. Next slide, please. When IoT coming into the picture, this is going to be the world which is going to look like in terms of IoT and artificial intelligence in healthcare. Healthcare sector will be working continuously with the help of 3 technologies. One is digital technology, one is IoT technology, and other is artificial intelligence technology. You may not be knowing that in Bhubaneswar, one doctor is working on bubble study on the stomach of people who have recently been operated for cancer in the area of stomach. And she is studying the bubbles which were identified through various radio therapy like sonography, etc., by virtue of which people are trying to detect much ahead of time whether this person is going to be converted into a cancer patient. So things are going to change. Artificial intelligence is going to take place in such a is going to take its place in such a manner in healthcare industry, which will help the doctor in diagnosis, etc. Next slide, please. This is a very interesting slide, very interesting slide. How it is going to happen in the world in terms of artificial intelligence and digital transformation. It is being said that clean technology will be the call of the day. 66% people are ready to pay more money for digitally transformed products which are environment friendly and art friendly. The millennials will pay 73% money. 73% of the millennials feel that they are ready to pay more money for products which are climate friendly. Dubai has declared that they will be the happiest city of the world by 2022, and again, artificial intelligence and blockchain will play the role. Copenhagen has been declared to be a carbon friendly and carbon neutral city by 2025. The total product requirement and market requirement of the smart city technologies will be 717 billion in 2023 as against 300 odd billion in present time. What is going to happen is that the world is going to grow fast, and the 10 fastest growing city will be in India in terms of GDP. Artificial intelligence will come into your day-to-day. Your fridges will be artificially intelligence. Your mattresses on which you sleep in the night times will be monitoring your sleep. Your bathroom will be giving you a lot of artificial intelligence when you're thinking while taking bath, and there will be aromatherapy which will be treating you. This slide is going to tell you that deep technologies, particularly artificial intelligence, IoT, and blockchain, is coming in such a manner to the world that there is a huge responsibility on digital solution designers to be human and ethically correct. Next slide, please. These are the 5 areas where artificial intelligence deals with cognitive mind of people. In other words, artificial intelligence is trying to take over the cognitive capability of humankind. And I don't want to explain this slide in this manner. That point here is that artificial intelligence is trying to study the human behavior so that it can perform in terms of cognitive intelligence what human is trying to perform today. One of these very interesting point could be the heuristic part, which is the green part of it, rule of thumb. Another important part could be the rule of procedure. Rule of procedure is that systems in terms of regulation working towards the betterment of humanity when you deploy artificially intelligent solutions. Knowledge of knowledge, another very important point, which will be working in the area of agriculture, healthcare, and meteorological predictions. What I'm trying to say that artificial intelligence is going to be a part of our life, which will be also which will be visible to us through robots and humanoids, which will be artificial intelligence. They will be advising us. You must have come to know that a humanoid called Sophia has been given the national citizenship of Saudi Arabia, and this humanoid lady appears for many conferences and answers people's questions on economics and socio-economic environment. Next slide, please. So you can see in this slide, it's a PwC's research work, what artificial intelligence can do. Artificial intelligence can help in hearing, seeing, speaking, and feeling. Artificial intelligence helps you to understand, assist, perceive, and plan. Artificial intelligence helps you to physically recognize you, cognitively understand you, creatively copy you, It can dance as you dance by seeing you. There is a robot which can dance in terms of copying your dancing style, and it can react also, like I talked about Sophia. So this slide brings up a huge thought process in me in terms of working with artificial intelligence, whose foundation layer is statistics, econometrics, optimization, complexity theory, computer science, and game theory. Participants, please be aware of one thing. When we are dealing with artificial intelligence, we are kind of dealing with fire. Artificial intelligence can reach a stage where you may not be having control on the results which is thrown up by artificially intelligent computing system. Here I would like to quote Yan Lee Kun, who is the director of Facebook, director of artificial intelligence-based products in Facebook. And I quote him. He says, despite these astounding advances, we have a long way from machines that are intelligent as human or even rats. I repeat, machines that are as intelligent as humans or even rats. So far, we have seen only 5% of what AI can do. So, friends, if the Facebook director dealing on artificial intelligence can be believed, it is only 5% what you have seen. I request you to go to the Institute of Cost Accountants of India's journal section and read my 5-page paper, which has been published in April on artificial intelligence-based applications, where I've done a very huge analysis right from 200 centuries before till today on artificial intelligence matters. Artificial intelligence and robotics is not just about 50, 60 years old. You can see my paper and find that it comes from centuries back. The ideas has come from centuries back. But the most important factor here for you people to remember and understand and appreciate that unless ethical and human dimensions of artificial intelligence are not taken care of, it can create havoc. And for that, I'm going to present you some slides. Next slide, please. This artificial intelligence, I don't want to explain the subject because I am not a technical guy. It has got certain dimension. It has got ethical dimension. It has ethical dimension in terms of its prediction and data. It can do good to people as good as it can do harm to people also. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. AI is a very interesting subject in terms of it creates anything and everything out of data. So if data fed into the artificial intelligence operating system, which are old data, irrelevant data, unstructured data, it can create havoc in terms of throwing up results, and it can misdirect you in terms of drawing your inferences and make mistakes in drawing your strategies, or taking results like doctors creating a diagnosis out of certain database. So it is very, very important for every data scientist and digital solution designer that they apply artificial intelligence with complete care and total knowledge of what data they are dealing with. Because of another issue is that artificial intelligence is also being used by cyber criminals. They are spawning malwares by getting into your system using artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence will cause a lot of job losses, yet at the same time it will create a lot of new jobs in terms of people getting into thinking way rather than doing way. The doing way or doing part of the job will certainly be taken over by artificial intelligence. As per the McKinsey study, 75% of routine human work can be taken away by machine. Work like animal husbandry cannot be taken away. Work like farming cannot be taken away to a certain extent of certain part of the farming. But you can do a lot of work by artificial intelligence. So it is a threat to humanity. It is also a boon for humanity. It is up to you to decide how are you going to use about it. Singularity is a very important issue of artificial intelligence. Singularity is the right of a robot. Suppose you have installed a robot in your machine. and you are going to switch off the robot at your will as a human being. You can't. Singularity of artificial intelligence means when you have applied the artificial intelligence, you have to give it a recognition that it has got an identity in your process of doing a work. You cannot just stop it. You cannot switch off power from a human robot. That's the robot right. That is the singularity perspective of artificial intelligence. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So here is I'll share with you a couple of research reports in the next 2-3 minutes. Here is a research report from Yale University, USA, which is one of the 100 top universities of USA. 979 technologies and CEOs were surveyed. The first question asked to them, is it most likely that advancing AI and related technology will enhance human capacity and empower them? Will most people be better off than they are today? Is it most likely that it will not lessen human autonomy and agency to such an extent that most people will not be better off? 63% of the respondents said that people will mostly be better off. Most people will mostly be better off. It does mean most people will mostly be better off. If you mathematically deduce this, it will be roughly about 55 to 60% people will be better off. 37% said that artificial intelligence will not make people better off. It does mean that we have a huge responsibility to design solution with the help of artificial intelligence. I'm not going to scare you up, but my job is to tell you that as long as you keep the ethical and emotional part of artificial intelligence in your right side, you will not be making mistake in designing solutions by it. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Here is a study done by OECD, Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development. These OECD countries have given you a 3-point agenda in terms of following the success factor with humanity as your target audience for artificial intelligence solution designing. It says that aim to foster innovation, trust in AI, promote responsible stewardship of trustworthy AI, ensure respect for human rights and democratic values, ensure inclusive growth, sustainable development, etc., human-centered values and fairness, be transparent. That means your data sourcing, data processing, inferences drawn, all these things should be transparent. It should be robust. Your security system should be very strong. Next slide, please. This is a very interesting study. In the next slide, you will find an interesting study by Oxford and one of the most respected research organization called International Development Research Center. Very interestingly, you will find on the right-hand side table that India is, in terms of its readiness, is ahead of China. India's index score is 7.515 as against China's 7.370. Singapore leading the table at 9.186 index factor and USA 8.804. Point I'm trying to make here is that it's a 2019 study. India is very nicely poised in terms of artificial intelligence as a brain. India must have to find solutions which are ethically correct. As you know, what people are thinking about China these days, and I don't want to speak much about it. And let me go to the next slide. Here, this slide gives us a lot of, this particular slide gives us a lot of hope in terms of artificial intelligence. Next slide, please. This is a study again by the same International Data Research Center and Oxford University. It says that artificial intelligence will add $15 trillion to global GDP. But the most important anxiety which has been expressed in this research is that artificial intelligence will be able to create value in the northern part of the world, that means above the equatorial line. And the southern part, which will contribute in designing artificial intelligence-based solutions, will not be able to derive the benefits or reap the benefits or use the benefit of value creation by artificial intelligence. This may create a problem of non-equitable distribution of wealth between the higher part, upper part of the earth versus the lower part of the earth. It does mean that Asian countries will not be able to derive the advantage and benefit of artificial intelligence based or deep technology based solutions. So most important point here is that uh, people who are using artificial intelligence based solution, robotics process automation, etc., they have to ensure that the value created by their solution is for sharing with all, is for the ultimate benefit of the humanity. Next slide, please. Here is an interesting study. Of course, the numbers are not very high. It says that by 2021, artificial intelligence based value creation will be more than double as compared to 2 years before. And organization will start reaping the benefit after adopting artificial intelligence based solution, etc. For that, there has to be a creation of culture of agility and reskilling. The point I was meaning thereby is that artificial intelligence needs a lot of learning, unlearning, relearning, and application. So it's the skill which is absolutely application oriented skill, but the application orientation has to be moderated, guided, and regulated by ethics and human principles. Next slide, please. It's a very interesting slide, my participants. I'm almost coming to the end of my presentation for opening up discussions for you. It's a very interesting slide. Let me tell you that when you do a solution designing, this certain issue, please keep in mind. The first issue is directionless. What happens if there is no directional guidance and regulators in terms of artificial intelligence? So like OECD like guidelines which you have said, this kind of guidelines have to be definitely there for artificial intelligence also to bring the ethical and human dimension. Let me tell you one thing. Technology doesn't have humanity, morality, ethics, and emotion, but technologists have humanity, morality, ethics, and emotion. Therefore, the qualities of technologists must have to find its place in solution designing, which has to be regulated to a certain extent by multilateral agencies. Like for blockchain, I'm all along talking about there has to be a regulator on a country basis and a multilateral agency basis. Next is there has to be legal authority. What happens if I lose by the guidance of a robot, which are being applied more and more by investment bankers? Next is what happens, how I'm going to deal with unemployment, which my solutions designed by AI is going to create. So if I create 10 unemployment because of AI in my client's company, I must try and find out how these 10 people will be deployed for thinking more so that value addition possible and nobody is thrown out of employment. Next is collaboration. This is particularly important in manufacturing industry and service industry where AI, RPA, and robots and humanoids being deployed. There has to be a perfect collaboration between human being and artificial intelligence and robots. Transition management from a human system or a manual intervention system versus AI system has to be smooth and painless. There cannot be an unequal distribution of oil created by AI. I can get into a huge debate with you people if there is anybody from banking industry on this, but time is not there. Humanity is very important, which I'm all along talking about. Robots can be biased. Even artificially intelligent solutions can be biased. So how do we remove the biasness of robots? By giving them current database machine learning inputs. It's a very important point to be checked into. Security of AI systems. If people feel that mine is an artificial intelligence system and my security system is also artificial intelligence, people are in fool's paradise because cyber criminals fly 3 steps ahead of this normal security solution designers. Evil genius can be there. You can create wrong results by application of wrong data and artificial intelligence programming. Singularity is very important because if you give too much of independence to your computer to do the work on your behalf, and if you do not control, then complex intelligence system can create havoc, which you have seen in case of an apartheid case in America and Mexico. Robot rights, if you start a robot for solving a problem for you, the question is coming up whether a robot's power can be switched off, because what is bloodline for us and what is heart beating for us is the power for robots. And finally, what happens if artificial stupidity sets in? Artificial intelligence can be there, cannot be artificial stupidity there? Yes, it can be there. So next slide, please, Faisal. Next slide, please. So this is 7WH principle. I write every month a column in the Institute of Cost Accountants Journal on Digital Submission. There I have introduced the 7WH principles of solution designing. I'm not going to explain to you in detail. I will urge upon my participants here. Please go to my personal website and read all the 7 papers. In one of the papers, I have explained the 7WH principles of solution designing. I can assure you, if these 7WH principles you apply for your solution designing, success factors are going to be much more and better than normal success factors you meet by solution designing. So if anybody is interested to connect with me in terms of their own solution designing problems, please connect me. I will introduce the 7WH principle in your organization. If anybody wants to read more, please refer to my papers on this. Next. We can revisit in question answer session this slide. And next suggestions of mine, any solution you design, please introduce ethical hacking, which is very important point. And now let me come to my last slide. Change. Ethical hacking is very important. This is a very interesting slide. You must keep in the mind. This is a Venn diagram slide. There are 3 pillars of solution designing with the OECD guidelines for human. One is the good governance, second is efficiency, and third is the effectiveness. When the blue good governance and efficiency meet, you get reliability, participation, citizens driven, and public value. When efficiency and effectiveness meets, you get empowerment, evidence, demand management, and personalization. Here comes the corporate part of the solution designing: empowerment, evidence, demand management, and personalization. When effectiveness and good governance, these 2 pillars meets, what you get is openness, transparency, accountability, and autonomy. So here it gives you the governance come effectiveness issue. And when governance and efficiency meet, you get reliability, participation, citizenship, and public value. So it's a chain. Every time you design, you review a solution, you apply, scale up a solution, please revisit this Venn diagram of efficiency, effectiveness, and good governance, which finally gives you 12-point agenda for your solution designing. Next and the last slide, please. This is my 10 commandments for digital transformation. This is my coining of 10 commandments. You must have seen the cinema. 10 commandments. Here are my 10 commandments for solution designing. You can read it. I'm reading it for you. Humanity first. Redistribute power. Reduce complexities. Reimagine consumption. Go for creative destruction. Manage climate emergency. Be accountable without discrimination. Fix imbalance of humanity and technology. Enhance technology with universal altruism. And let imagination and ethics lead transformation. I repeat, let imagination and ethics lead transformation. And with the next slide, we can start the question answer.
Doctor, first question from my side is like now we are saying there is a lot of transformation happening. With this current crisis, we at one point are hearing that there is a job loss. There could be job loss or there will be problems in the job. What are your suggestions? Because a lot of our guests today are members of students, so they are looking forward for working in digital media and digital systems. So what are the opportunities for also after this crisis?
Puzzle is it's a $1 trillion question, not even million and $billion question, because I was watching television and the kind of value of job loss is going to be trillions of dollars, because how long the governments can protect the jobs in terms of giving salary, and how things are going to happen, how things are going to pan up post-COVID. A new world order will come up, and in the new world order, things are going to change in such a manner that people have to be much more creative. I have only one suggestion to government missionaries and also people. Whether you are in employment or you are in your own or you are a student, please think of an innovative solution which is found today or which are not found today to bring out a creativity of your mind which will either create new value or minimize value destruction, existing value being destructed. Because let me tell you one thing, world will take not less than 1.5 to 3 years to come to stability. And when the new world order emerges, the people will be much more intelligent. People will be much more digital savvy. Like today, those who never knew cooking, they are learning cooking to feed their family
Yes.
because you can't ask for food anymore. So same thing will happen. You have to cook your food. You have to create your own job for yourself to survive. That is the new world order going to emerge.
Hmm. Okay, doctor, one question. Is AI will play a major role in healthcare sector? Now it looks like healthcare sector will be demand in future, as by Deepak
Absolutely,
Basu.
absolutely right. Healthcare sector AI has already started playing a major role. Diagnostic studies these days are to a very, very large extent dependent on AI. Seeing the ECG report, MIT has created diagnostic tools using AI that just seeing an ECG report, doctors are in a position to diagnose whether a guy is a, a most likely case of a heart attack soon or not, whether he is going to have a blockage of heart or not, with the comorbidities around in his healthcare system. So diagnostic tools are creating such intelligent results that traditional method of diagnosis will be replaced by artificial intelligence. For a moment, I am never suggesting that doctors will be replaced by artificial intelligence. What I am suggesting that doctors will be more error free and will be able to more predict much ahead of times before a patient gets into the danger zone of suffering from a disease. That will be the role of artificial intelligence.
Okay, what do you think? There will be a lot of investment in biotechnology
I personally feel, and that is my prediction, that application in biotechnology in terms of using the dimensions of AI is not going to be much in terms of capital investment because artificial intelligence and robotics does not need much of money. It needs a lot of computing power and a lot of data storage power, which with the overwhelming speed of data processing capability of computers and the cloud computing and the chips storing more and more data as compared to what used to store 5 years before, it's not going to be very capital intensive. What it is going to be very human intervention, human thought process intensive. People have to imagine how they can
henceforth?
apply a data for creating a diagnosis. What data people can use for what. In that, machine learning will come into play, whether they will use machine learning in a supervised environment or a non-supervised environment. These are the issues people have to think of. So I don't feel, so far as artificial intelligence, robotic process automation is concerned, particularly including surgery by a robot, it's a one-time investment. It's not going to be very much heavy in terms of investment. What is important is that it has to be completely, constantly updated. Last year's medical data may not be good for next year's medical data. So
Oh,
updation of the data on the basis of which the robots, AI, ML will perform and help the healthcare professionals. That's very important.
hmm. That's what I
Maybe
have.
the health, maybe the health data of Russia may not be good
Hmm.
for the health data of India because Russia is
Hmm.
a cold climate and India is a tropical climate. Like
Yes.
one can see the COVID-19 behavior in cold countries and our countries.
Right.
So there comes the intelligence part, not the capital. Human capital is needed. So
Hmm.
when I say that artificial intelligence will take away some job, artificial intelligence will create a lot of jobs to think.
Yeah. So that takes me up to question if this thinking and calculation which are right now demanded for current crisis of handling of coronavirus, if we have a biotechnology artificial intelligence system, can it take more better decisions than human being? Hmm.
Predictive analysis, AI has already started playing roles. No two
Hmm.
opinion about it. But any
Hmm.
disease which doctors know by now, they are very well, jolly well being understood more better than by artificial intelligence. And surgery, in any case, have become more perfect.
Okay, one question from Sandeep Rane. Going ahead, whether future technologies will be integrating like blockchain, AI will be integrating in predicting sales or prices or something?
Mr. Rani, I wish I would have been in chat with you for long. I am a propagator of blockchain, and I feel that blockchain is going to be a foundation technology.
Yes,
I've written already 3 papers on blockchain and spoken all over the world on this. My simple point on blockchain here that blockchain should be used as the foundational technology on which
right.
IoT and AI should
Every,
reside.
yes, it will be in
AI,
balance.
IoT and reside. Let me tell you, 2 years before in a conference in Delhi University, I predicted that central bank digital currency is going to be there whether you like it or not
No.
like it, which I call CBDC. Devjani Mohanty was with me as one of the speakers. Devjani is one of the most celebrated speaker on blockchain in the world today. He has written 4 books on blockchain. He said, Doctor, how can he be so predictive? And see what is happening today. Immediately after the threatening coming from Libra, all the countries are starting with CBDC. And CBDC will definitely be successful in terms of blockchain coming. Now, tomorrow, if your refrigerator starts ordering vegetables and chicken and mutton for you and trying to tell you that this particular bucket is going to be out of date for you to use it quickly, what do you mean? Is it not IoT helping you? Now, can IoT be left alone and the information in IoT can be left alone? When an aircraft is flying over the sky and an IoT is predicting the engine health and what part of the engine should be maintained before the next flight is taken, do you think this information should be left to the cyber criminals to enjoy and take into ransom? No. So any IoT, any artificial intelligence platform, any virtual integration, any virtual reality, any platform for that matter, going to be good to go for blockchain technology. Mr. Rani, I can understand your anxiety where from you are coming. You must be
Hmm.
thinking that scalability of blockchain is an issue now. But let me tell you, let's not compare blockchain and cryptocurrency and put them
Yes.
into the same platform. For
Hmm.
a cryptocurrency to be transaction to pass through, it has to have at least 10 miners consent. But for a enterprise blockchain solution, consent giving is not necessary. Only the parties involved only can give consent. I can spend hours and hours together with you on blockchain technology, and I suggest you read the paper. Conclusion
Wonderful.
of your question is yes, blockchain is going to be seen as the foundational technology on which all the 8 deep technologies will reside in future. That's my prophecy. Like CBDC, I made a prophecy 2 years back and it's going to come to reality.
Wonderful.
Then,
Great. Great. Wonderful. So, I mean, that was the final ultimatum statement which you made, and that's puts to rest that all questions arising. So, I request participants to visit Dr. Basu's website, and you can read his papers, and you can get more deep detail into what he is talking about. So, once again, I like to thank Dr.
participants, I have 14. Uh, can I make a point that I
Yes.
have 14,400 plus connections in LinkedIn and roughly about 1,340 connections in Twitter. I don't know why my Twitter numbers are not increasing. What is there? I do not know. That's a mystery for me. If
So
you
now,
come and connect with me and want to collaborate with me, I am there for any technology because technology is my passion area. Though I'm a Munimji or accountant by training and profession.
we have lot of students today here from Viva College of Virar and many other education evangelists. So I request all of you to team up. We need this kind of methodology and minds and young people into
Sheikh,
this
why don't you organize another session on blockchain technology?
Yeah, sure. I will definitely. That is on my card, doctor. So I think because when I see, I read the newspapers and the blockchain technology and everything has been
Thank you,
already.
Reshmi. Thank you, Redmi. Yes.
So it has been great. So I think that will be the next subject, and we'll definitely communicate you our next topic. And I request all the members to visit the doctor's Twitter site and LinkedIn, and also give up your suggestions. And also we can team up and do a lot of development and lot of new innovations, because the young minds of tomorrow's are the key to hold to the future. So with this, I am signing off. Thank you, participants, for joining in good numbers.
Just one request, participants, if you have any question, please connect with me in LinkedIn.
Yes,
I have my personal website, innovationians.com, innovationians.com. Go there and read my papers. You will further get my mind there in terms of solution designing and digital transformation. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you for your participation and time for my session.
yes. Thank you very much, Doctor. And it was nice and always wonderful listening to you and understanding the new technologies coming up.
Thank you so much.